Rich Mill didn't like me because I came from a poor background. Once she played a mean trick by calling me the housemaid at her party and then posted it online to embarrass me. Hello, everyone. I'll refer to my husband as Harry and my mother-in-law as Olivia. I'm 28 years old and I've been married to Harry for about 2 years. Harry, also 28, and I were friends in college, and that's how we met. We didn't start dating until after we graduated. A few years ago, we met again at a friend's party and have been together ever since, almost 4 years now, including our time married. Harry and I love each other, and I don't regret marrying him. But the one thing I struggle with is his mother, Olivia. Olivia raised Harry on her own as a single mother, which is impressive. But she can be very arrogant and cold. This makes it hard for me to like her as a person. From the very beginning, she made it clear she didn't approve of me. And I think it's because of my financial background. I come from a poor family. My parents had to work hard to support me and my three sisters. We were quite poor growing up. My dad was a janitor, and my mom took on various odd jobs to make ends meet. I'm not ashamed of it. In fact, I'm proud of where I come from, as are my siblings. We never saw our parents' jobs as something to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. They were honest, hard-working people, and we're proud to be like them. Olivia, on the other hand, is judgmental about social class. She made a face when I told her my dad used to be a janitor and my mom did odd jobs for wealthier families. This happened the first time we had dinner with her, and ever since then, she's made it clear I'm not welcome in her family. She's never said anything directly to me, but she keeps her distance physically, as if she can't touch me. Whenever she invites us for dinner, she even uses different silverware and plates for me, ones that aren't as nice as the ones she and her son use. I didn't bring it up at first because I thought I might be overthinking things, and I didn't want to make a big deal out of nothing. But then other things happened that made me realize Olivia was being classist. For instance, she would give me cheap birthday presents and leave the price tags on them. Olivia ran her own business and could afford nice gifts, like an expensive watch for Harry or an all-expenses-paid trip to Bali for her assistant. But for me, she gave a knockoff purse that probably didn't cost more than $85. After that, I knew for sure she didn't like me. The biggest mistake I made was not talking to Harry about it earlier because I didn't know how to bring up something so upsetting. I have faced discrimination before, but never from someone I hope to have a good relationship with in the future. I actually used to admire Olivia before I saw this side of her. I want to start my own business someday too, so when Harry told me about his mother's business success, I was impressed. My sisters and I study finance in college with student loans and now have decent jobs. I work in marketing and advertising but dream of building something on my own. Before Harry and I got married, I hoped Olivia would accept me eventually. But it didn't happen, and it got too awkward. A few months after we married, I finally told Harry I felt uncomfortable visiting his mother because she made me feel inferior, and I suspected it was because of my family's background and my dad's job as a janitor. Harry was understanding and said he would talk to his mother to clear the air. He did talk to her, but she denied everything and started crying, saying she had been nothing but warm to me and that accusing her of being classist was unfair. This made me feel like she was trying to manipulate us. I told Harry I appreciated his efforts, but I still didn't feel comfortable around her. So we agreed that Harry would stay in touch with his mom, but I would keep my distance until I felt ready to talk to her. He didn't cut her off completely, but he distanced himself, and I knew she resented me for it. Now that we were married, I didn't have much choice but to deal with her, so I tried to make peace with the situation. We'd see each other at family gatherings, but otherwise, we kept our distance, and that worked for both of us for a while. However, a few days ago, she texted me at noon saying she wanted me to come early to her 50th birthday party because she wanted to make things right between us. She admitted she'd treated me badly in the past and wanted to apologize. I was hopeful and agreed to come early. When I arrived, she immediately told me to wait in the kitchen. I was confused but did as she asked. Later, she came into the kitchen and introduced me to the wait staff as her housemaid, recording the whole thing and laughing like it was a funny joke. Everyone was uncomfortable, and I was incredibly humiliated. I ran out of the house in tears and drove home. I had texted Harry that I was visiting his mom, but he was at work and hadn't read my message. So when I got home, I felt even more alone and cried myself to sleep. A couple of hours later, Harry came home and showed me a video his mom had posted. It was the prank she played on me, cut off right before I started crying. She captioned it as a prank gone wrong, but it was clear she posted it to humiliate me. I was devastated and couldn't stop crying. Harry assured me not to worry and promised to do everything possible to have the video taken down. He was determined to make his mother regret what she did, even though she wasn't responding to his messages or calls due to being busy with the party. He knew she would eventually call to ask why he hadn't arrived yet. When she did call, Harry was ready to confront her. About an hour after I woke up from crying, his mother called him. I can't repeat the words Harry used, but he was very upset with her. He ended the call by threatening to file a lawsuit against her for what she did to me. After Harry finished yelling at her, he apologized to me repeatedly for not taking action against Olivia when I first told him I was uncomfortable around her. I didn't blame Harry because initially, I downplayed the situation, making it seem like it wasn't a big deal. I also never spoke up about other incidents that bothered me, and Harry isn't very observant or attentive, so he didn't pick up on these issues himself. I couldn't blame him for not cutting off his mother because he didn't fully understand how terrible she could be. On the day of Olivia's party, I finally opened up to Harry about everything that had been bothering me. He was furious and told me I should have informed him sooner, which I agreed with. He apologized for not noticing how his mother was treating me and falling short in supporting me. We talked it through, and then he contacted his lawyer to see if there was a legal way to hold his mother accountable. Unfortunately, we couldn't pursue a lawsuit for emotional distress because there were no physical repercussions from what she did. Harry was determined to take action, though. He didn't want to just cut his mother out of our lives. He wanted to teach her a lesson. I could see how angry he was on my behalf, and I appreciated his support, so I didn't try to dissuade him. The next morning, Harry told me he had given his mother an ultimatum. She had 3 days to issue a public apology, not just to me but also to my family, and it had to be in video form. If she didn't comply, he threatened to expose her behavior to all her business contacts, which could seriously damage her reputation as a successful female entrepreneur. Harry believed that his mother's actions were not in line with feminist values, especially considering her role as a female business owner. He knew that tarnishing her reputation could significantly impact her future prospects in business. We're now on the second day of the ultimatum Harry gave to his mother. I'm feeling uneasy about the situation because it seems like a form of blackmail. I expressed my concerns to Harry, but he dismissed them, believing this was the only way to make Olivia realize her behavior was unacceptable and prevent future issues. I'm uncomfortable with the idea of my husband going after my mother-in-law in this way. Update 1. Following the advice of many of you, I sat down with Harry after he returned from work and shared my concerns once again. I explained that while Olivia was clearly in the wrong, I didn't want us to stoop to her level just to make her apologize. I told Harry that an apology forced under these circumstances wouldn't mean anything sincere. I expressed that I didn't want him to go through with his plan to pressure Olivia into apologizing. Instead, I suggested that he call off the ultimatum and simply tell Olivia to stay away from us. Surprisingly, Harry didn't resist this time. He broke down in tears. It took several minutes of consoling before he could explain what was upsetting him. As many of you pointed out, Harry was trying to overcompensate for not taking the situation seriously enough initially. He admitted feeling guilty after watching the video of Olivia's behavior, which has since been deleted. He realized he had been focusing on getting back at his mom rather than truly listening to me and respecting my wishes. Harry acknowledged that he made the same mistake again by not taking my concerns seriously enough. He recognized my submissive nature and admitted he hadn't been listening to me as he should. We had a deep conversation about this, and Harry texted Olivia, informing her that an apology wasn't necessary because he no longer wanted any contact with her. I'm proud of both of us for handling the situation well and making sure we face the problem together as a team, rather than turning against each other. Harry and I deeply care for each other, which made it difficult for us to discuss our biggest issues. That's why we've decided to seek marriage counseling. I've already started looking into it, and I hope we can start working on our marriage within the next week. Our goal is to ensure that such upsetting incidents never happen again. Dealing with this situation has been one of the worst experiences of my life, and I never want to feel the way I did a couple of days ago ever again. I'm relieved that Harry has decided to cut ties with Olivia, because I couldn't bear to see her again without feeling an overwhelming urge to confront her about her arrogance. I won't act on it, but I hope someone else does. Update 2. A week has passed since Olivia's party, and she hadn't reached out to us after Harry called off the ultimatum. We sensed something was brewing because Olivia wasn't the type to let things go so easily. However, as days went by without any contact from her, we started to forget about the situation. Then today, Olivia unexpectedly showed up at our house with her lawyer. When I answered the door, she walked past me without acknowledging me and called out for Harry to meet her in the living room. It was frustrating because she acted as if she owned the place, ordering us around in our own home. Harry refused to comply with her demands and told her he didn't want to speak with her right now and asked her to leave with her lawyer. Olivia persisted, insisting that Harry sit down because he needed to hear what she had to say. I urged Harry to just sit down so we could get this over with and get her out of the house. I was prepared to hear her threats or demands if it meant resolving the situation quickly. Reluctantly, Harry took a seat on the couch, and I sat down beside him to assert our authority in our own home, despite Olivia's disregard for me. She then instructed her lawyer to read out a document outlining her terms. Essentially, the document stated that Olivia wanted Harry to leave me, or else she would disinherit him, distributing her assets to other family members, employees, and charities. The document included a list of properties and assets involved. After the lawyer finished reading Olivia's document, which seemed like an attempt to intimidate Harry, he remained unfazed. Harry appeared uninterested, playing with my ring and not paying attention to the list of assets being read out. Once the reading was done, Olivia asked Harry what he planned to do next, emphasizing that if he stayed with me, he'd forfeit his inheritance forever. To everyone's surprise, Harry stood up, walked over to his mother, and gave her a hug, saying goodbye. Olivia's expression shifted from triumphant to shocked, which made me giggle uncontrollably. Finally acknowledging my presence, Olivia snapped at me, hurling insults and calling me names. I chose to ignore her, knowing it would aggravate her further. Harry didn't engage with her either. Instead, he calmly suggested we return to our room to avoid witnessing his mother's escalating meltdown, which was becoming embarrassing. We spoke to each other normally, pretending Olivia wasn't there, and headed back to our room to irritate her further. However, Olivia crossed a line by accusing me of being a gold digger, saying she regretted approving of our marriage and insinuating that I was only interested in Harry's money because my dad was a loser. I didn't argue with her accusations, but defended my father's hard work and integrity. I told her that despite her wealth, my husband was rejecting her, which clearly struck a nerve. Today, I made it clear to Olivia that I was not a gold digger, but a self-sufficient working woman who didn't rely on my husband's money. I told her she had no basis for her accusations. I then demanded that she leave my house immediately before I called the police to have her escorted out. Eventually, she left, but her visit had already left a sour taste in our mouths. While it was an unpleasant experience, at least we managed to assert ourselves and set boundaries. Hopefully, Olivia will remember not to meddle with us and leave us alone in the future. Update 3. Hey everyone, I'm back because something terrible happened involving Olivia. About 2 weeks had passed since her last visit, and Harry and I thought the chapter was finally over. However, I just received a call from my parents an hour ago, and they told me Olivia paid them a visit, and it wasn't good. Olivia barged into their house and insulted them, calling them terrible parents who raised a gold-digging and conniving person like me. She said hurtful things about me, but what's most upsetting is how she attacked my parents. Olivia told my mother that if she had been a better parent who spent more time at home raising us instead of working, maybe we would have turned out better. She also insulted my dad again for his profession, implying that his daughters were as dirty as the trash he cleaned up. My parents were almost in tears recounting what Olivia said, and I couldn't contain my anger. I'm currently at work, unable to do anything, but once I'm done for the day, I'm heading straight to Olivia's house to confront her. She needs to be put in her place for disrespecting my parents in their own home. I texted Harry about the situation, but he's busy with work and hasn't replied yet. I don't necessarily want him to come with me, but I've informed him so he won't be caught off guard if Olivia reaches out to him, upset about our confrontation. Update 4. Hi everyone, I'm back after confronting Olivia at her house a few hours ago. And let me tell you, it was incredibly satisfying to let her have it. When I arrived, Olivia smirked as she opened the door, but I lost my temper right then and there. I pushed past her and went inside, demanding to know if she had visited my parents and said those awful things. She admitted to it, looking pleased with herself, which only fueled my anger. I yelled at her loudly, calling her a hypocrite and a failure as a mother for not prioritizing Harry's happiness over her own selfish desires. I even made a harsh comment about her deceased husband, which made her start crying. I continued berating her for several minutes until I ran out of steam. Seeing her break down was oddly satisfying after all the pain she caused me and my family. After leaving Olivia's house, I returned home, and Harry came back shortly after. He had left work early, assuming I'd be at Olivia's, but by the time he arrived, I had already left. When he entered Olivia's house, he found her crying on the couch, knowing that I had confronted her. Harry surprised me by expressing pride in me for standing up for myself and not allowing anyone to walk over me. He hugged me, apologized for his mother's behavior toward my parents, and then told me that he had a final conversation with Olivia. He made it clear that we would have no further contact with her and that we pursue a restraining order if she bothered us again. When Harry asked Olivia about what I had said, she expected him to defend her and criticize me. But Harry disappointed her by standing by my side. He explained that he supported me because I was right and had never intentionally hurt Olivia, unlike her treatment of me. Harry walked out of Olivia's house despite her protests, affirming his commitment to me. We're still attending marriage counseling, and things are going well. Now we know we have each other's backs forever, which is all I ever really wanted.